Hello students, my name is Mr. Harshal Lezkar and we are studying the subject of basic human rights and this is lecture number 27. So from the last lecture we have been studying this particular solutions to the migrants exclusion and how these particular internal migrants they can be included uh, into our Indian society, and with the continuation of that we will study the further solution to the inclusion of migrants. And the next solution, it can be a political and civic inclusion. The demographic elections, they are an important medium through which the poor are provided with a formal channel to express their satisfaction or grievances against the ruling political party. However, due to seasonal migration, where migrants often remain absent from their constituencies at the source location during the time of elections. All right. So, and according to a study, nearly 60% of respondents reported having missed voting in elections in at least once because they were away from their home location in search of work. And additionally 54% of respondents they claimed that they had returned to their home villages during elections with the intention of voting, and about from which 74% returned specifically for election of the panchayats. So these are basically stats that are reported regarding to the political and political part. All right. The study it has also demonstrated that migrants remained more aware of uh, political developments in their source locations rather than developments at the destination locations where they have limited political benefits. So that is a basic thing, that these particular internal migrants they have more attachment to their home location rather than the location at they are working. All right. And also the benefits they get, they have been given to them at the home locations only rather than at the work location. All right. So the media it also have reported that at destination the destination location, that is the work location, the political leaders often exploit these migrants as a pawn in decisive vote banks. So basically the political leaders at home location or at work location they exploit these particular migrants as a vote bank only, and that is basically a huge setback faced by the particular internal migrants. All right. So there are also some initiatives to protect this particular right of voting for this internal migration, and a number of urban local bodies and municipal corporations in India, including New Delhi, Visakhapatnam, and Coimbatore, they have declared citizens charter to recognize the rights of citizens and take responsibilities for the responding to their needs. So the municipal corporations in New Delhi, Visakhapatnam, and Coimbatore, they have prepared a citizens charter, and which indicate that the every citizen in the particular that municipal corporation have the right of voting, and they have taken responsibility of those particular migrants and regarding to their basic needs. There is also an upcoming bill which is pending at Parliament, that is the right of citizens for time bound delivery of goods and services and redressal of their grievances, bill number 2011. This particular bill it mandates every public authority to publish a citizens charter, likewise prepared by New Delhi or Visakhapatnam municipal corporations, which outlines the timeline for delivery of goods and services. It would also enable a citizen to file a complaint related to non-functioning of public authorities, violation of law, policy or scheme, or any grievances related to citizens' charter and offending officers. They could be penalized with a maximum fine of 50,000 rupees. But this particular Right of Citizens Act, it was introduced in Lok Sabha on 20th December 2011, and then it was referred to the Standing Committee on 13th January 2012. And now the Standing Committee has also reported the report, but it is not yet passed in the further Parliament. All right, and it is still pending after 8 years of long await. All right, after the dissolution of UPA 2 Sarkar, all right, the Modi government, it has not been able to pass this particular Right of Citizens Act. All right, and hence the migrants, especially those with low levels of education and political voice, they will need assistance in accessing such instruments. The role of civil society organizations will be critical in creating awareness among the migrants about their rights. All right, so the government is at a very wrong position if it is regarded to this particular right of citizens of migrant workers, and they have not still yet passed this particular act, or they have not amended the act of right of citizens, and still uh, this particular issue of migrant workers, it has not been solved after 8 years of this particular uh, introduction of the Right of Citizens Act. All right. So that was this for political and civil inclusion in the Indian society. And with that note, we will move on to the next solution of inclusion of women migrants. All right. Even though women constitute an overwhelming majority of migrants, the study of migrations, it has failed to adequately address the gender-specific migration experiences. A gender perspective on internal migration is imperative since women have significantly different migration motivations, patterns, options, and obstacles than men. So basically, women have more than one reason to migrate or internally migrate. All right, and the marriage is a reason given by the women respondents as the most prominent reason for migrating. That is, 91.3% of women from rural areas and 60.8% of women from urban areas, they have given this particular reason of marriage for internal migration. In fact, since respondents are authorized to cite only one reason for migrating, the working women who move for marriage are not recorded as labor migrants, even though they work prior to and after migrating into the destination locations. All right. So women have more than one reasons to migrate, but the whenever the survey has been recorded, the particular migrant workers, they have been only provided with or authorized with only one reason to migrate, and mostly women select this particular reason of marriage to migrate, even though they are working in different locations. All right, the several researchers, they are working to uncover the more complex reality lying behind statistics, and they consider that this narrow picture it has painted by government statistics, which fails to grasp the complexity of both the scale and motives of women who migrate for other reasons also. The women migrants are paid less than male migrants, and they do not have maternity leaves or other maternity entitlements or breastfeeding breaks at work sites also. Lack of access to proper sanitation has serious health consequences, but women and girls suffer in silence because our society doesn't feel at all comfortable to talk about women's personal hygiene issues. As per the National Crime Records Bureau, Between 2006 2010, the total number of crime against women it has increased by 29.6%. Further, according to National Family Health Survey, that is NFHS, one third of women aged between 15 to 49 had already experienced physical violence, and one in every 10 women has had been a victim of sexual violence. The migrant women and adolescent girls in particular remain vulnerable to the sexual harassment and abuse, especially at the hands of agents and contractors at the worksite. Poverty may cause women migrants to get pushed into the sex work at the destination. All right. So these are the issues of particular women community of migrants. All right. So there are also criminal law to prevent these particular issues. So recently, after the unfortunate Nirbhaya incident, the Criminal Law Amendment Act of 2013, it was passed to strengthen the penalties for crimes against women and in particular trafficking of persons or persons and persons for exploitation. There is an urgent need for promoting safe migration for women migrant workers, in particular domestic workers who constitute a highly vulnerable and socially sensitive group. Most women who migrate to big cities are from poor families and they are illiterate. Their lack of education, experience, and skill leaves them vulnerable to exploitation from illegal placement agencies and touts. So the estimate it indicates that number of domestic workers in India varies from 4.75 million to 6.4 million. The National Commission for Enterprises in the Unorganized Sector has estimated that out of 4 million domestic workers, 92% are women, girls, and children, and 20% are under the age of 14. However, other sources suggest that these figures are underestimated and the number of domestic workers in the country could be much higher. To address issues pertaining to registration of domestic workers, there is a provision of legal protection and minimum wages, prevention of trafficking and other forms of exploitation of women and children, and regulation of placement agencies. The National Commission for Women, that is NCW, it has drafted a bill entitling Domestic Workers Welfare and Social Security Act 2010. However, this proposed legislation is yet to be passed in Parliament. All right. So that is the unfair issue. All right. So India has also signatory of the Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, that is the CEDAW, that is Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and also it has ratified the convention in 1993. However, in practice, this CEDAW on women migrant workers, it remains largely unimplemented. There are also some NGOs that are fighting for this inclusion of women migrants. First of which is the Bodhi Crew Service Private Limited. The Bodhi Crew Services is a training and placement agency who works for domestic female workers in West Bengal. Having started its operation in January 2012, Bodhi Crew offers training and guarantees of safe migration, good jobs, and fair wages for female domestic workers. It also supports legislative, administrative, and policy changes that contribute to the employability, dignity, and welfare of domestic workers and their families. Bodhi Crew aims to train and deploy more than 100,000 domestic workers in the next 4 years. So there are also some NGOs or the private services like Bodhi Crew. They have been working for the women migrants. There is also another NGO that called as Sunlab, which is an Indian feminist non-governmental organization which was established by Indrani Sinha in the year of 1987 in Calcutta. The group aims to protect the human rights of women and girls. The primary work of this NGO, it is focused against trafficking of women and children for commercial sexual exploitation. The Sunlab, it runs for four shelter homes in and around Kolkata for minors who are rescued from commercial sexual exploitation, girl children of women in prostitution and other vulnerable girl children. The shelter home houses more than 250 girls. These homes offer a holistic program encompassing education, mental health intervention, vocational training and economic initiatives, dance movement therapy and legal aid for the women migrant workers. Alright. So there is also one campaign called Safe Cities for Women and Girls by the United Nations Women. It is in partnership with the United Nations Habitat and the government of Delhi. And also there is a NGO called Jagori. It is running the Safe Cities program with the aim to provide solution and strategies to make Delhi safer for women. The objective of the program is to create cities where women can move around freely without the fear of harassment and violence at all times. Objectives of the program, it includes like creating improved infrastructure provision and accessibility of public toilets, public transports and street lighting, introducing reforms in urban planning and policy response, and developing civic awareness are the major objectives of this particular Safe Cities program. So there are some NGOs or the private services, they are working for women migrants, but the uh, government also has to work about these particular issues of women migrants. All right. So with the continuation of this particular solution to the inclusion, we will continue to the next solution, that is legal aid and dispute resolution for the migrant workers. The migrants are predominantly engaged in the informal sectors where labor laws and safety measures remain unimplemented and minimum wages are not respected at all. In India, as per Census of India 2011, the overall literacy rate was 74.04%. The male literacy rate is 82.14% and the female literacy rate is 65.46%. And regarding migrants, this data from Census of India reveals that more than half of female migrants, that is 57.8%, and 25.8% of the male migrants are illiterate people. These poor literacy levels act as impediment in claiming rights and entitlements for the internal migrants. So basically, uh, the migrant workers, they face particular issues of minimum wages or safety measures at the work location because they are illiterate. Alright. So the uh, lack of education, it becomes a most hurdle that has been present in the way in the development of migrant workers. Since migrants mostly have restricted access to the education, obviously, they remain unaware of their legal rights and they are unable to access an impartial forum to register their grievances. The women migrants are even more vulnerable to the exploitation, possessing negligible or often lower educational qualifications than their male counterparts. As a result, they face harassment and other aspects of labor market discrimination. And due to their mobile status, migrants face difficulties in unionizing and remain a fragmented workforce. All right. So these are issues regarding the legal problems of migrant workers. All right. So to give solution regarding this particular legal aid and dispute resolution, there are some campaigns running around the country, uh, of which there is one campaign in Rajasthan, the Ajivika Bureau. It has been providing legal counseling for migrants with a view to support workers who caught up with unexpected changes of informal labor market. The legal aid service encompasses dedicated programs for legal literacy and direct legal help through medication and litigation in special cases. In the case of a dispute, workers can approach the walk-in resource centers called Shramik Sahayata Evam Sandarbh Kendras, that is 3SKs, to register their case and seek counsel and aid. The legal clinic days are adaptation of the formal court mechanism wherein disputing parties are given an objective hearing and advised by the trained lawyer. The resource center plays the important role of objective mediator between the complainant and the offenders. So that is the program that has been running in Rajasthan by the Ajivika Bureau. Then Ajivika Bureau has also launched a phone-based helpline for workers called Labor Line in Udaipur district of Rajasthan. The helpline, it involves a dedicated phone line answered by a trained counselor. It allows workers to reach out for counsel in case of any problem related to the wages, retrenchment or abuse. The labor line, it is supported by the network of walk-in resource centers. Also, there is a samiti or committee of PEOPLES, that is Paryavaran Evam Praudhyogiki Uttan Samiti, which is based in Jusi, Allahabad, Uttar Pradesh. It facilitates the process of dispute resolution for migrant workers, and it aims to reach a settlement through mutual dialogue between the victim and offenders. The PEOPLES has promoted the formation of a collective of migrant laborers working in brick kilns known as Bhatta Parivar Vikas Seva Samiti, which is registered under the Indian Societies Registration Act 1860. To resolve disputes, migrant laborers first submit a written complaint at the Migrant Resource Center, that is Shramik Sahayata Kendra. After discussion and information letter, it is issued by the collective to the opponent party. Usually, the opponent party is the labor contractor or the brick kiln owner, and it comprises details of the dispute and the date of hearing. On the day of dispute hearing, both parties assemble at the center, after which the migrant laborers first represent details regarding the dispute, and following which the opponent party puts forth their case regarding the complaint. On most of the occasions, disputes are settled by the proactive mediation and arbitration of the collective. The disputes that cannot be settled through mutual dialogues are forwarded to the advocate of the High Court, which attends the center on a regular basis and takes necessary action for dispute resolution. The data from PEOPLES, it shows that they have registered total of 187 cases, of which 50 cases have been resolved right now, with a total of 7,39,141 rupees unpaid wage arrears being recorded to the laborers. All right, so there is some committee called PEOPLES. It has been working for the dispute resolution in the Allahabad. All right, so there is also grievance handling cell, which has been initiated by the Department of Labor in Maharashtra with the support of Disha Foundation NGO for specifically handling the migrants' employment, wages, and related grievances. A complaint form is dropped into a complaint box, one of which has been placed at each of the two labor markets. A local committee comprising of NACA workers, the NACA workers means the workers at migrant halt point, and they handles the lighter complaints, referring only major cases to the labor department. Then Disha Foundation believes that the involvement of labor departments as well as the gram panchayats at source villages has clearly made contractors accountable for paying minimum wages and avoiding harassment at the workplace. As a result, several panchayats have banned contractors who have paid uh, low wages to the laborers of that particular contractors. All right. So these are some initiatives taken by some NGOs or the governments of different states to provide some legal aid and legal advice to particular this migrant workers. All right. So this is also a solution to the inclusion of internal migrants, to provide them some legal advice, or so to provide some dispute resolution for their complaint regarding to their work location or the workforce. All right, so in this lecture we have already studied this particular solution of political and civic inclusion. Then we studied the solution of migrant women inclusion. Also, lastly we studied this particular legal aid services provided by the different governments or the NGOs to include the migrant workers in the Indian society. And we will stop here for this lecture. If you have any doubt regarding these two solutions, you can comment down below this section, or you can contact me on my phone number. All right, so we will stop here, and thank you for listening the lecture.